This is Ezekiel Drews, host of Podcast, A Star Wars Story. Thanks for listening to the following broadcast on Public House Media.
This is John Lauder, host of The Cheap Seats here on Public House Media. Thanks for listening to the following broadcast on Public House Media. Once you're done with this episode, I hope you'll come check out my show, The Cheap Seats, where we talk about sports from the fans' perspective. A new show comes out every Monday. Don't forget to subscribe on iTunes so you never miss an episode of The Cheap Seats. Thanks again for checking out the following broadcast on Public House Media.
Today's verse of the day comes from Numbers 23:19. God is not human, that he should lie, not a human being, that he should change his mind. Does he speak and then not act? Does he promise and not fulfill? Good morning, good morning, good morning. Welcome to the Verse of the Day podcast presented by Public House Media. I'm your host, Baxter Colburn. It's been too long. We took a week off. We had to rest and recuperate. And also I had to move into my new house as well, too. So it's been a wild ride these last 8 to 10 days here in the Colburn household. But we have done it thanks to the grace of God and by amazing family and friends that have helped us as well, too. So a big thanks to all of them that helped with the process of us moving to our new house and just closing the chapter on a couple of things and opening a new chapter and a new book. And I'm excited to get going. I really am. So great to be back on the program. We are on Apple Podcasts as a part of Public House Media, so please go and subscribe. Tell your friends. We're very close to 1,000 downloads, by the way, I've been told. So we've only been at this since February. We're already inching close to that 1,000 download mark. So I'm really excited about that. So keep telling your friends and keep sharing if you would as well, please. Today's verse of the day is a great reminder, in my opinion, about the supernatural, everlasting, unfailing power of God. And I know we've done a fair amount of these verses here on our time on Verse of the Day, but I think it's always important for us to look at different parts of the Bible and know that the same message is constantly being said and is constantly being repeated because God doesn't change, right? I mean, that's the big thing that I drove from this verse. And I always love looking at these verses that have a couple of like different sections, even though they're one verse. So this is really a cool verse in the fact that we can just really walk through this piece by piece a little bit here briefly on this Monday morning just to kind of get a better feel for what exactly is being communicated to us here in the book of Numbers. So this first part, God is not human that he should lie, not a human being that he should change his mind. Hello, that's exactly what humans are, right? That's exactly what we do. We lie all the time. A pastor in church this last weekend said, raise your hand if you've ever lied, and everybody put their hand up, and there's a few people that maybe didn't because they don't like participating and they just need to stop being a grouch. And pastor said, well, if anybody didn't put their hand up, you just lied, you just sinned, because we've all lied. Everyone's a sinner. Everyone has lied. Everyone has cheated. Everyone has changed their mind, done something wrong at some point, because none of us are perfect like Christ is. And when I read the second part and it says, not a human being that he should change his mind, I'm pretty sure we all have either a significant other or a child or a friend or a family member that is constantly changing their mind, right? Never can settle on something, always trying to figure out what they want to do, and then they have a great idea, and then they change their mind, and then, oh, wait, and then they change their minds. It happens all the time, but it happens to me, it happens to you, and that's okay. We're human, we're an indecisive people. That's just what we are. That's the reality of it. If everything was clear and perfect and amazing, we'd still be in the garden, and we wouldn't be worrying about any of this sin and having to do consistent personal development and prayer and going to church to worry about our everlasting faith and salvation. So that's the battle that we're in. That's the reality that we're in. So here we are. God never changes his mind. When he says he's going to do something, he's going to do something. You think Noah, when God said, it's going to rain, Noah was like, maybe he'll change his mind and it won't rain. As soon as that first thundercloud appeared, Noah was like, he wasn't joking. Okay, I got this. And we need to realize that a lot in our lives too, because Jesus is amazing. And as we saw him throughout his time on earth as well too, he wasn't changing his mind. He wasn't constantly saying, well, do good to others, or not. You don't have to if you don't want to, I guess. I mean, love one another if it's convenient, or... I didn't mean that. You should really be mean to everybody. No, God has had the same message from the beginning of time. Jesus Christ, when he came to this earth, preached the same exact message and always was consistent on what he said. He never doubled back. He never went on his own word. He never contradicted himself. He always brought the same consistent, never failing, never changing voice to what he is and who he will always be. And then, like we were saying here in the second part about talking about Noah, or really any other time God ever said he was going to do something in the Bible and did it, and has done so throughout the history of the earth as well too, does he not speak and then not act? Yes, absolutely he does. Does he promise and not fulfill? Absolutely. God said he would never flood the earth again after the massive flood. He would never wipe out the population via a flood with the rainbow. He's never done it since. That was 2,000 plus years ago, maybe 3,000 or 4,000 years ago at this point, depending on when you're listening. And it's never happened. It's never come to be. We've never seen a mass flood, and never mass wipeout like that God promised, because he put a rainbow in the sky, said, this is my sign to you, and it will never come to pass again. And it never has, praise God. Because I'm a good swimmer, but I don't know if I could sustain that long of a time if it were to come down to something like that. So my challenge, my charge for you, my plea for you today as you get ready for this new week is try to live a little bit more like Christ did, and try to apply these thoughts to your daily life. Now, I get it. We are human. God is not. It says that in the first 4 words. God is not human. But take these human aspects of this and try to apply it closer to your life today. Try not to lie. Try not to change your mind. If you say you're going to do something, if you commit to something, do it. If you make up your mind that you're going to do one thing, stand firm and go through that. If somebody asks you a question, be honest about it. Don't lie. Don't twist the truth. Be consistent in what you say and what you do. And then if you, like we're saying at the end, if you speak and then don't act on what you say, I'm going to take out the garbage, Mom and Dad, and you don't do it, what good is your word? If I tell my wife, hey, honey, I'll go pick up our son, and I don't, that's not going to end well on a lot of different fronts. I need to make sure that I follow through with what I'm saying and what my word is as well, because your word, although very valuable, it's obviously your actions that are even far more valuable, because, as we say, actions speak louder than words. And finally, does he promise and not fulfill? If you promise your significant other to love them in sick and health and good and poor and all other types of promises that we can make in our life, and you don't live up to those, you need to look in the mirror and take a hard look at who you are and what your value systems are, because we are commanded to keep our promises. We are commanded to love one another. We are commanded to be there for each other, and this is one of the many ways that we can do that, brothers and sisters. So take a deeper dive into Numbers 23:19. How can we apply it to your life this week? By trying to be a better human, trying not to lie, trying to stay fast with what our minds are, not being indecisive, not speaking and then not acting on what we're saying. Keep our word, be a good person, reach out, live God, and most of all, love one another. You've been listening to the Verse of the Day podcast, hosted by Baxter Colburn on Public House Media. Don't forget to subscribe on iTunes so you never miss an episode of Verse of the Day. It comes out 7 days a week, 365 days a year. The podcast can be found by subscribing on Google Play Podcasts and wherever good podcasts are found. More information about Verse of the Day podcast can be found by going to thephmedia.com.